welcome to Still Becoming, a space for raw, honest, and healing conversations at the crossroads of mental health, faith, failure, and the quiet bonds that shape us. We don't rush to answers here, we stay with the hard things. Maybe in that staying, we learn to hear ourselves more clearly in the quiet. I'm your host, and tonight we are exploring something you might recognize deep in your bones, the sacred weight and the quiet pride of being everyone's rock. What it means to be the steady one, and the hidden cost of never allowing yourself to fall apart. But here's what I am really wondering: what if the very thing that makes us valuable to others, our strength, is also what keeps us isolated? And what if that's not how the story has to end? Let's sit with that together. 3:17 a.m. My phone buzzes on the nightstand. The blue glow slices through the dark. And even before I check, I already know. Hey, sorry to bother you this late. I just didn't know who else to call. And of course, you didn't. And of course, I'm awake and I'm always awake at 3. It's become my unspoken shift. Not because I can't sleep, though that's true sometimes, but because I've trained myself to be available for these moments. I have become the one people call in the dark, the steady voice, the grounding presence, the lighthouse, steadfast, vigilant, watching for ships that might break against the rock. Always ready, always needed. But lighthouses, by design, stand alone. There is something sacred about that role. When someone trusts you with their 3 a.m. breakdown, when they choose your voice to steady them in the storm, that's profound intimacy. 3 a.m. friend is your safe harbor in the storm, the person who answers without hesitation, shows up without judgment, and holds the space for your truth no matter what our darkness finds you. So, who is your 3 a.m. friend? Or are you someone's 3 a.m. friend? Here's something that I rarely say out loud. While I am a 3 a.m. friend for a lot of people, I don't have a 3 a.m. friend. Not really. Not because no one's offered or not because people haven't tried to be one, but because this part's a little hard. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to look for in a 3 a.m. friend. I just generally avoid that kind of conversation with anyone. But if I were to look for someone, I think I would look for somebody who has the 3 C's. C for capacity, the capacity to hold space without trying to fix. Consistency, you're not perfect, but you are extremely dependable. Confidentiality, someone who doesn't leak what I share with them. Maybe you need that framework too, not for the quantity but quality of friends. Not for fixing, but for their presence. See, I have been the safe place for others for so long, I forgot what it feels like to be held myself. And it's not just the emotional exhaustion, it bleeds into everything. Some days I'm so drained from holding space for others that I have nothing left for my family. My wife has asked me very lovingly but directly, what's the point of being there for everyone else if you're not here with us? And she's right. I mean, it's not that I don't care about them, it's that I have made myself emotionally available to everyone except the people who matter the most. And I don't always have a good answer for the why of it. So tonight, I'm asking myself a harder question. What's the cost of being everyone's rock? Let's not rush to solve that. Let's just name it. Let's feel it. And maybe feel a little less alone while we do it. I think I was 7 years old, roughly around that time when the first time I became an emotional translator. It was a regular Monday morning, and dad was home when he should not be. In the kitchen, mom's hand kept moving between pots and pan, her smile stretched like a rubber band that was about to snap. Her shoulders told the truth, her voice would not. 4 weeks of factory strikes, 4 weeks of no pay, 4 weeks of watching our parents pretend everything was fine. I was too young to understand what was happening, but I knew the language of silence. I knew the way our house felt different when money was tight. I knew my mom's big smile was a mask. So I smiled back, ate my breakfast without asking for the seconds, and pretended everything was fine. And that was my first translation, making myself small so others could feel safe. No manual, no instructions, just survival disguised as love. And sometimes grace finds us in the most unexpected places. And mine found me in a dusty church office between rows of forgotten books. You see, growing up, books outside our textbooks were a luxury I rarely tasted. Sure, there was a school library, but it was like being given a glimpse of feast through a keyhole. 45 minutes a week, that's all we got. And like any kid with limited time, I would beeline to the comics section, hunting for escapes and adventures between those pages. But then came that Saturday. I was meeting Father Farmers about some church activities, just another weekend errand. He asked me a simple question: do you read? And I said, no, not really. Just what the school makes us read. Now, instead of an usual adult lecture about the importance of reading, he just smiled. Without a word, he led me to his room. And that room felt like I was stepping into another world. Floor to ceiling glass cabinets, each one stuffed with hundreds, probably thousands of books. He just pointed at those cabinets and said, pick anyone. Now, being a kid who doesn't read, I had exactly one superpower: finding the thinnest book in that library. So I scanned those shelves like a heat-seeking missile and found the skinniest one that I could and handed it back to him, probably looking pretty pleased with my strategic thinking. Father Thomas held that slim book in his hands. He nodded slowly and he said something that I will never forget. This book will change your life. The book that I had picked was Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Looking back now, I wonder, was it really random? Like, out of all those books, what made me pick that particular one? Maybe some stories find us exactly when we need them the most. Little did I know that this thin book about a seagull's quest for perfection would become my first real love affair with reading and teach me that sometimes smallest books carry the biggest truths. Okay, if you haven't read Jonathan Livingston Seagull, I recommend you do. It's the most beautiful book that I've ever read. It's a story about a seagull who dares to fly higher than the rest, and gets exiled for his uniqueness, finds enlightenment in solitude, and returns to teach others. I read it over and over, and on some of the pages, tears streamed down my face. Back then, I couldn't understand why it moved me so much, but years later, it comes back to me as a reflection. Jonathan's journey wasn't just a story, it was a mirror. The lonely excellence, the weight of potential, the burden of being different. It was a chronicle of a child learning to carry others' emotions while drifting further from their own. I thought I was learning wisdom. Turns out I was perfecting hypervigilance, a childhood survival skill dressed up as mature. And boy, how I carried it into every relationship. I became the ultimate confidant, the rock, the fixer, earning trust and praise, slowly disappearing into the shadows of my own unacknowledged pain. The unspoken rule I absorbed was crystal clear: needs make you messy. But here's the truth, and I'm still learning to embrace this. The truest mess isn't in having needs, it's in forgetting you have them at all. Jonathan taught me how to soar. Now I'm learning how to land. There is a pedestal built around anyone who's good at being strong. Beautiful view up here, but there's a catch. You can't sit, you can't stumble, you can't breathe too loudly. And the higher people put you, the further you have to fall. Growing up in faith communities, I learned early that strength equals service. If you struggle, you're not trusting God enough, they would say. So I became what someone once called me, the confession box, where people poured out their shame and found grace. I wore that title like a badge of honor. I still do. But here's what no one tells you about confession boxes: they only work one way. The penitent speaks, the priest listens. The box never gets to confess back. My wife's question cuts through my pride. Why are you available for strangers, but absent at home? And I had no answers, just years of habit carved into my bone. Then comes another colleague's call about her crumbling marriage. I held her grief for 2 hours. She hung up saying, "You are my anchor." I think to myself, am I really an anchor? Because I had nothing to anchor myself. Recently, I found these questions from a Jewish rabbi, Hillel. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? In all these years, I I had been answering the second question while completely missing the first. Jesus in Gethsemane asking his friends, the apostles, to stay awake with him and pray, only to find them asleep. If even he needed a stay awake friend, what does that say about us? Maybe the healer needs healing too. Maybe even lighthouses need guiding lights home. Maybe it's time to come down from this pedestal before it becomes a prison. By the way, between a rabbi's question and a Jesus' garden, I'm starting to think that wisdom does not care much about the religious borders. Let's just take this time to just reflect. Let's talk about rebuilding trust and finding your 3 a.m. friend. Trust doesn't shatter, it erodes like water wearing down a stone until you stop offering it altogether. But here's the beautiful thing about erosion. It can also carve canyons of breathtaking depth. So how do we rebuild that trust in ourselves and in others? Let's talk about the art of self-care and finding your 3 a.m. friend. First, let's reframe self-care. It's not selfish. It's not a luxury. It's the foundation that allows us to show up fully for others. Think of it as putting on your own oxygen mask first. Here's what I'm learning, one stumble at a time. So just walk with me as I take you through this. Step number 1, start small. For me, I've started using the phone timer where I get 5 minutes of silence before responding to any crisis call. 5 minutes to just check in with myself. Step 2, create a self-check-in ritual. Now on my phone, I have set up a shortcut. Every morning at 7:30 a.m., my phone asks me, how are you really? Not how I should be, not how others need me to be, just how am I? This is my first week, and I can tell you that I could not even answer it the first time. Now, after a couple of days, I'm learning my own language of need. If you are an iPhone user, you can create this shortcut that runs at a specific time on your phone and can take voice or text input as a journal entry. Step 3, practice vulnerability. Last week, I told one of my friends about me going for therapy. Now I'm sharing it on this podcast as well. And ever since I've started sharing about my therapy, something shifted. It's like a door opening to let the light in. Now about finding a 3 a.m. friend. It's less about finding and more about cultivating. Be the friend you want to have. Show up consistently for others. Listen without judgment. Deepen your existing connections. Look at your current relationship. Who already shows signs of being there for you? Nurture those connections intentionally. Allow others to support you. It's not just about being strong for them, it's also about letting them be strong for you too. Create shared experiences. Vulnerability often emerges in shared moments. Plan activities that allow for deeper conversations. Be patient. Deep trust takes time. It's built in layers through countless small moments of showing up. Remember, becoming someone's 3 a.m. friend often happens before having one yourself. It's about creating a culture of deep support around you, something that we are not used to, something that a lot of people will definitely love to have. And here's the beautiful paradox. As you learn to be there for yourself, you become more authentically available for others. As you honor your own needs, you create space for genuine connection. Trust is a practice. It's letting people see you flicker and staying present as their light flickers too. And slowly, very slowly, the darkness recedes and we find ourselves held in a web of mutual support. Maybe you are the steady one in your world, the lighthouse, the confession box, the ever present friend. If you are, let me tell you, your work is sacred. Holding space for others' pain, that's ministry. But, and this is the sacred tension, you are more than that role. Remember, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? Your soul needs space too. Your story deserves voice. Your cracks deserve presence. Your 3 a.m. fears deserve someone to stay awake with you. Even confession boxes need someone to listen. Even lighthouses need their own light tended. Even rocks need something solid to rest on. And what if, and stay with me here, what if the strongest thing you could do isn't to be strong for others? What if it's to be human enough to let others be strong for you? I don't have neat answers tonight. Like I always keep saying, this podcast is not about finding the answers. This isn't a how-to manual for perfect vulnerability. This is an invitation to begin exactly where you are. This is presence for your fatigue, for your ache, for all the times you have swallowed your needs and said, I am fine when you weren't. Here's what I need you to know, what I wish someone had told me years ago. You are not only valuable when you're useful. You are not only lovable when you're strong. You are not only worthy when you're giving. You are worthy of care simply because you exist, because you are human, because you are here, because your need for connection is as holy as your capacity to give it. Sit with that. Notice what stirs in your chest. Feel the weight of permission settling into your bones. In this quiet space, your full humanity isn't just welcome, it's sacred. Thank you for listening, for staying awake with me, for being part of this becoming. And remember, you are not alone in this, even when it feels like you are. Even at 3:17 a.m., you are not alone. Maybe tonight, you will be the one making the call. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what healing looks like. That's exactly what strength has been waiting to become. Until next time, remember, your strength isn't measured by how much you carry, but by how much you're willing to share the load. Be gentle with yourself in the spaces between. Still Becoming is written and hosted by Anish John. The music in this episode: Adrift Among Infinite Stars, Meanwhile, Tears in Rain. All tracks by Scott Buckley, released by CC-by 4.0. Find more at www.scottbuckley.com.au.